What's up? It's Min. Dean and I got to talk to a very close childhood friend today, Andy. What did you take away from the convo, Dean?
Yeah, it was just good to have Andy in and just have just a regular conversation like we normally had when the three of us would just hang out.
Yeah, wasn't the last time you saw him?
Oh gosh, it was probably half a year ago over the summer when he got married.
Yeah. So it's been a while for both of us. The same thing for me, too. This is sort of an unusual episode because it's just three dudes kind of hanging out. So we talked about a lot of different topics. So if you want to focus on one thing and not listen to like three dudes talk about 15 random things, this is not going to be your episode. But I had a lot of fun with it. Welcome to the Quality Under Pressure podcast. My name is Min. I am in studio today with Dean. How you doing?
Yo, doing well. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. How's your shoulder?
Still hurts.
Yep, still hurts. I'm really excited about this episode. Hopefully, we don't just live in, God damn it, shut up music. We don't usually use this room, so it doesn't repeat like that. I have all these different settings. But I'm excited because we have a childhood friend in the room. Too bad Dawson's not here, huh?
Oh.
But I want to introduce everyone to one of my best friends, Andy. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. Hello, everyone.
Thank you for joining us today. You said you were watching football before you came in here?
Yeah, just kind of killing a little time and just head on the playoff game, the Chargers versus the Ravens.
Yeah.
And to kind of qualify the topic, earlier this year we were talking about, before the season began, the NFL, with all the BS going on in there, are we even going to watch it and whatnot?
Yeah.
And, most of the season, I think I only watched maybe a little bit of a couple games.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, will you get a little bit closer to the mic? Or you don't have to physically move. You can just pull the mic up. Man, now I really wish Dawson was here. I think we might have to call him mid-episode.
Yeah, we might as well.
Because we can just Google Hangouts with him. Because we talked about this like episode, I think 1.
1 or 2, yeah.
Where Dawson wasn't a part of that pact. But the three of us would like hang out and like watch football games and basketball games or whatever, movies. And then we're just like the three of us like, it's not that we all like talked about it going into it, but like someone brought it up and then all of us were kind of like, yeah, I'm thinking about not watching football this year either. And so that made it like really, it was like after that, it was just like everyone just kind of like brushed their hands off and like, done. Like I just needed something to push me over the edge. So all of us haven't watched football this season.
That's right.
Very little.
Or like not intentionally, but like when I like go to a friend's house and the game's on, I'm not going to be like, everyone turn it off.
Please, for my sake, please.
Okay, cool. And so this was going to be your topic of the day too, right?
Yeah.
Okay, before we get to that, we'll come back. It's weird, like we're going to come back to it. We usually start with lightning round. It's weird to like lightning round one of your best friends to like ask them like what's their favorite food and stuff like that. But we got to do it, man. It's the format. And this is something Dawson usually does. And so I'm doing Dawson's work this time. Also, like our lightning rounds never are actually like lightning rounds because like as Dawson's asking the question, the guest will say something. And I'd be like, oh, like why do you like pink and like stuff like that. So it never ends up being a lightning round. Our last one was pretty good though. All right. So don't think too much about it. Whatever comes to your mind. And then at the end of it, we'll ask follow-up questions.
Gotcha.
All right, dude. Cats or dogs?
Well, close one, but dogs.
Nice.
Whoa.
I have a cat.
I know.
Yeah. What's your wife going to feel?
I know. It's going to be so bad.
What's your favorite food?
Favorite food? Pizza. It's boring, but pizza. Nothing can top that.
Back-to-back pizza. That's not back-to-back. No, it's back-to-back pizza.
Just back-to-back, yeah.
Who was your high school celebrity crush?
Jessica Alba.
Both of us. Does the word moist bother you?
No, it doesn't. I don't get that internet thing. No,
Yeah.
it doesn't.
Good. It doesn't bother me either. What is one place you would love to visit?
One place I'd love to visit. Oh boy, there's a bajillion. But I've never been to France. I want to go to France.
Yep. Cool. That's number 1 on the list right now?
Sure. Yeah.
Cool. What's your favorite movie?
My favorite movie. Oh, that's a tough one. I always qualify this by like something I can watch over and over and never get sick of. I'm gonna go with Evil Dead 2: Dead by Dog.
That's awesome. Blonde or brunette?
Brunette.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite podcast?
This one, of course.
Yeah. But really, what is your favorite podcast?
If I'm honest, probably Talking Cars with Consumer Reports. That's one of my favorite podcasts.
Wow.
It's really boring, I know.
With Consumer Reports?
Yes.
Do they just review cars then?
Yeah, they just talk about cars.
Yeah.
They have audience questions and whatnot.
Who are the hosts? I'll ask you later.
Sure.
Lightning round. Are you afraid of public restrooms?
No. I have ulcerative colitis, so like that scene in Train Spotting where he's desperate for a bathroom, that has been like my reality for so many times. So
Dude,
no,
we
I'm
should
not.
talk about that. I don't know anything about that really.
Yeah,
That
we
disease.
should.
Yeah.
we should.
It's weird that like one of my best friends has it, but I don't know anything about it. Hot or cold?
What do you mean?
Just hot or cold?
Hot.
Okay. That's crazy that we have to follow up on that question almost like 90% of the time. What's your favorite sport? Final question.
I just shit on it, but football.
Yes. Okay. Cool. Yeah, I turned this stupid music off now. What were the follow? Do you have any follow-up questions there, Dean? Mine was. Favorite sport: cats or dogs? You said dogs.
Well, okay. So with cats and dogs, do you want to introduce a dog to the house?
You know what? It's like dogs are so much work. I'm just too lazy to deal with a dog.
Yeah.
I love them, but I don't know if I could. I sort of do and I sort of don't.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
I agree.
That's fair.
I keep thinking too, like after like Pumpkin dies, like do I want to get another dog because
Yeah.
like it's so awesome, but it is work.
Mm-hmm.
It
I always feel
it doesn't feel like
Yeah.
work. I have 2 dogs, and
Oh,
it doesn't feel like work.
Really?
I enjoy everything I do for them.
So
yeah.
you know you're a dog person.
Yeah,
then.
I think so. Yeah.
Where for me, like like I love all the good parts, but
Mhm.
then it's like, it's maybe also because like I'm super anal about things. So it's just like Pumpkin needs to go out at noon. I gotta like drop everything at noon and like do it.
Yeah.
And so like if I was just maybe a little more laid back
Mm.
of a person, then I could do it. But I don't know.
Yeah.
So you think you're ever gonna get a dog?
Maybe.
Yeah.
We'll probably end up getting a dog. My wife has always been talking about getting a dog, so I'm sure we will. Am I close enough to the mic?
Yeah, you're good.
Good.
Yeah, you're good. Cool. Also, Dean brought in some whiskey. What kind of whiskey is it?
It's Hibiki Suntory whiskey.
And Andy made a really great comment before we started recording that our grandparents would be very disappointed that we have Japanese whiskey on us today. But we've been thinking more and more about like recording while like buzzed. Just it could add a different wrinkle to it.
Yeah. A little more off the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mostly brought it in just to share a drink with Min because he had a birthday
Oh yeah.
on Friday. So happy
Yeah.
birthday to Min.
Thank you guys. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's weird that I forgot that it was
It's your birthday.
yeah, and also it like sucks because like my birthday is so close to the holidays, like it's and like not before the holidays where people are like excited about like time off. It's after the holidays where people are exhausted, and then also in Minnesota it's super cold, so it's like people are exhausted and they probably don't want to venture out into the cold. So like I have like a pretty bad time to like invite like people and like let's go do things, let's go to the bar. People are like I'm good, man. So
Yeah.
so it's whatever.
Yeah.
I did want to follow up on your podcast choice. So is it just like dudes like us looking at Consumer Reports, or is it like some car expert?
No, it's people who work for Consumer Reports.
Yep.
They're the auto testers. Most of them have like an engineering background or
Cool.
auto journalism background. And they just talk about, kind of their findings with reviewing cars as well as audience questions. People send in their questions and they give them advice.
Yeah.
It's just one of my favorite things. It's a silly hobby, but that's what I like to do.
No, that's sweet. I mean, I like cars have never been a thing for me, like even growing up, like I've never looked at a car and be like, man, that is sexy. Like that's what I need, like that was just never a thing for me. But like my brother loves cars and you guys like cars and stuff like that too. So it's a foreign world, but like it's interest. I like when people talk about it because like as a car like layman, like I learn things and like I feel like, man, I should know like if my car begins to make a noise, like I should be able to identify what that noise is. Like that's an important thing to do, but I don't know how to do that. I remember we have a mutual friend, Anthony, John's friend Anthony, Tony.
Yes, yeah.
He's a gun enthusiast and I hate guns, But I felt like there was this period where a lot of people thought I liked guns, because when people that know a lot about guns talk to me about it, they're talking about like all the intricacies, and it's like a piece of engineering work. And so like when people talk about that part of guns, I'm like interested, and I ask questions, and like all of a sudden like this group of people like, this dude likes guns. We're gonna recruit him.
All right.
And then like at the end of it, they're like, okay, like do you want to go shoot and like kill things? I'm like, no. Why would I want to do that?
Yeah.
That's disgusting, dude. And so they're like, but you like guns. I'm like, no, I don't like guns. It's like a horrible thing, but it's just. But it was fascinating to like learn about like why they made different types of ammunition for like this purpose, or like, you know, when the stock is longer or shorter. It's like, man, that's really cool, and like you have to clean it so and so. That's all really fascinating stuff. So again, I don't know anything about cars, but it's cool to like know people that do know stuff about cars. What's your dream car?
My dream car. Okay, so my car choices have gotten progressively more boring as I've gotten older. It went from like Ferraris when you're a kid.
Yeah, of course.
And now it's like anything over like $30,000. I'm just like, that's so, I don't care. It's like, I just don't care. So like I'm getting more excited about like very practical vehicles. Like there's an all-wheel drive Toyota Prius coming out within the next year. And I'm just like, that's really cool. You get all-wheel drive and great fuel economy. This is how boring I've gotten as I've coming into our early 30s here.
That's how I look at cars now, like fuel economy, cargo space. Yeah.
So you guys have caught up to me. Because even when we were in like junior high, like we would, there was a Geo Metro in the neighborhood.
Oh, yeah.
And I'd be like, I want that car. Because like the second, I think it was you, we were like, because we would walk around the neighborhood or like bike around the neighborhood. Because you're like, this is like the early 2000s. Like we don't have cell phones or anything like that. And so it's like, what do you do? Like you actually walk down the neighborhood, knock on your friend's door because you can't message them ahead of time either. Can Andy come out and play? Then we would just walk around the neighborhood and talk. And there was this Geo Metro in the neighborhood. I'm like, and then I think it was you that said like, yeah, that car, it's not sexy, but it gets like 40 miles to the gallon. I'm like, done. That's what I need. And so, like, even now, like, that's what I get in my Prius. So, like, the dream kind of
dreams do come true. Yeah.
When you have low expectations, dreams come true. But also, like, the Prius is, like, the Geo Metro is tiny, and that's what they could do at that time. The Prius is nice, man. It's like an actual vehicle.
Yeah, it's roomy. Yeah.
So, what's your dream car, Dean?
I don't think I have one anymore.
Really?
Like how Andy said, when I was younger, it would be like a Ferrari, Lamborghini, even just like a Porsche. But now I just want a car that has good fuel economy.
Yeah.
All-wheel drive would be nice.
Safe.
Safe.
Comfort.
Yeah. So I guess a Tesla.
Oh.
Yeah, Model S. Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. I was like, you guys are old, man. Like, I still have a dream car. It used to be the Prius, but now it's a Tesla Model S.
Yeah.
I have mixed feelings about Tesla.
I was going to ask you,
Part of me loves what they can do with their battery capability and whatnot, but they're getting into such gimmicky stuff on their cars. It just infuriates me. Like the Model 3's door handles. They have like these little mechanisms that pop out the door handle, and it's just like, why do that? Why complicate it? Just make a simple door handle.
Especially when the Model S had issues with the door handle that like slides out, like when the gears break on it, you can't get into your car.
Yeah, or with the doors with the Model X.
Do you feel like that's Elon Musk realizing to introduce and like revolutionize cars, I also have to make it appealing to like this audience that if I just say this is an electric car, people are going to, because like dudes that drive cars, there's like this anti-electric movement.
Yeah.
And like people are like, but my car has to make noise, bro.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, well, no, it doesn't. This is way cooler. This is the future. So like, is this Elon Musk like making it so like people can be like, oh, this is a luxury car. This is a sports car. Look at all these cool little features. I've never been about like novelty things. Like when people buy like little bullshit toys and stuff like that. I'm like, why are you spending like $5 on that? Is this him doing that and feeding into that?
I would say so. The luxury car market particularly, and the tech, it's often about little gimmicky things. Like if you go to Lexus and whatnot, they often have like these little mouse controllers for their infotainment systems. And I think that's kind of feeding into that same kind of mentality. It kind of wows you in the showroom, even if it's not something you really, it's beneficial to you in your day-to-day life.
Yeah. Are you guys good at, like, I feel I predicted so many things incorrectly. I thought Twitter was going to be a bust. I'm like, I have Facebook, I have all these other things. Why do I need a format where I can only type 140 characters? Not that it's that anymore, but it's just like, I thought that was going to be a bust. There are so many things. Like even if if I was like a executive and somebody pitched Dance Dance Revolution to me, they're like, okay, this is video game, right? And you put this pad on the ground and you start like marching on it. I'm like, that's a dumb fucking idea. Get out of my room. But like, think about how successful DDR was.
Yeah.
There would be like so many ideas I would undercut that are actually good ideas. Are you guys good at catching things like that?
I guess I don't know what my track record is really, but I guess I didn't think Bitcoin was going to do well.
Oh, okay.
That was back, last winter when it was like almost $20,000, right?
Yeah.
And now it's like 3,000. So
Yeah.
I guess I was
Kinda
somewhat
right,
right
yeah.
on that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
My biggest regret was Tesla. When they first came out with the Model S, I was like, that's a pretty unique product.
Yeah.
I was thinking of buying like $1,000 worth of shares. And I was like too risk adverse, and I didn't do it. And there was that point where, it was at $30 when I was considering a share, and it jumped up to, like 300 something.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
I almost did that with Netflix. This is before Netflix had streaming. And I was thinking about like, wow, this is really cool. And then seeing Blockbuster's reaction, like, yeah, we also got to send DVDs through the mail. I'm like, yeah, they're onto something. I really like this. And then like knowing about like streaming, that was like when you're younger and like you like pay more attention to tech and stuff too. I was like, yeah, that's what it's going to be about. And now it totally is.
Yeah.
But also when you're 21, you're not willing to drop $100 to buy 10 shares or whatever either.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, it could be $100,000 richer right now, but I'm not. Oh shit, I was gonna ask you something about Tesla too, but yeah, it's just weird, like little things like that where I just found that I'm not good at catching little things like that. So
Yeah. Well, going back with Tesla, I think what slowed down a lot of the production of it was all those little gimmicky features. Because I think Elon Musk was quoted as saying they had he called it a fluffer bot on like the assembly line that would add all these unnecessary things, and that was like causing a lot of technical issues with the cars.
Yeah. So like a lot of stuff, I hear him talk about stuff like that all the time too, like just unnecessary stuff that gets in the way. He wants to make a version of the Model S that's matte, but he says it would be like a production line, like reworking, and it's just like too much of a headache to do that right now. But like you don't need a matte Tesla either. Like what do you want it to be, the Batmobile or something?
Yeah. Well, again, chasing luxury market trends.
Yeah,
what they're
exactly.
going for.
Yeah.
That's cool that you that perspective, because like I've never thought about buying a luxury vehicle. I'm just like, the idea of driving a vehicle off the lot and the second you leave the price depreciates. I'm like, I don't want a luxury vehicle. I'm just like, I just need something that gets me around. Like the practicality that you guys talk about now, that's what I want.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right, let's get back to your topic of the day then. Enough about cars. Well, let's actually loop around cars. If there's something you can teach me about cars, I want to learn something today.
Okay.
But football. So we all decided not to watch football. And now it's the first weekend of the playoffs. Do you guys know who won?
Yeah, because I had to look it up. I was curious.
Yeah.
So
Who won yesterday?
the Colts and the Cowboys.
Okay. Yeah, that's right.
Who did the Colts play? Oh, the Texans.
The Texans, yeah.
Cowboys played the Seahawks.
That's right.
Damn. I mean, not that I'm basing this off of anything because I didn't really watch the season, but I thought the Seahawks, the Ravens, and another bird team, Eagles, like even though they're low seeds, I think they're going into the playoffs with momentum. So it's kind of disappointing that the Seahawks lost. Not that I'm a fan or anything, but yeah. Okay, so we all didn't want to watch football this year. We've talked about it. This is where we need Dawson because he had some actual like counterpoints. Like, well, okay, then how come you guys aren't watching basketball this year? Because I've watched a handful of basketball games. My basketball passion's sort of been reignited since like a year or two ago. Do you think is it a stupid idea not to watch football?
Just
the NFL?
Just basing it, just setting aside all the BS with like the league and whatnot, how they treat domestic violence or using cities to build huge stadiums and whatnot. Just looking at the actual product today and like how jam full of ads it was, I was just like, this is just a huge waste of my time.
No.
Yes.
And then so you have an hour-long game spread out over 3.5 hours, maybe even more.
Mhm.
And it's just such a slow sport. And then you bring in the referees, and they all have these kind of lawyer-like, debate about the rules.
Yes.
I was like, is this really that fun of a sport to watch
Yeah.
anymore?
It's so
just
true.
by itself. And with all the other things you could be watching or doing, like video games. Wow, they're amazing out there. Have you played video games? Do we need this anymore? And I don't know. It was not hard at all to not watch the NFL. It was very easy. I didn't even have to think about it. I just, it's gone.
Well, you get so much more done on a
Oh
Sunday.
God, yeah,
and
my Sundays are wide open now.
It was, like you said, it was super easy. And for me, it might have been easier. I'm glad to hear that it was also easy for you guys too, because I've explained this in a previous episode, but during grad school, I didn't have time to watch football anyways. So it was this natural, but at that time, I was just man, if I had an hour or two, I would watch a football game. There was a desire to do it, but then I just didn't have time to do it. So it was a smoother transition for me, but it was easy for you guys too. And so I just feel if anybody else that are just thinking I'm dedicating my entire Sunday to this thing that isn't even that much fun. Also, when I go to football parties, no one's watching the game. I know, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So no one thinks it's that fun anyways.
Yeah.
People go to socialize, and there was this time, and I know it was an Eagles game, but there's a huge splash play. It was a 50-yard pass or whatever. I'm and I got excited because it's a splash play. I was oh yeah, that's huge. Everyone looks up and they're what happened? I'm wait, are we here to watch football or not?
Yeah.
And so it's no one's watching football anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just think it's too dangerous now.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
All the injuries people have.
Yeah, you used to like big hits, but now
Yeah.
I see one. I feel bad for the guy getting
exactly,
hit. It's
exactly.
Yeah, unless it's Vontez Burfict.
Or in Demicon Sue.
Yeah. If it's one of those dickheads, they're blast away, my
Yeah.
friend. But yeah, it was super easy. Do you think you'll ever want to go back to watching football?
I think they would have to make huge changes just to their product alone again, how they produce it to the audience. Get rid of a ton of the ad breaks. It's just obnoxious how many there are.
Yep.
And boy, I really don't know. Because you want to make all these changes to the rules, but then is it football still? Is it just going to be this kind of watered down, boring version of something that used to be fun
Yeah.
and isn't? And can it compete with sports like basketball?
Yeah.
Or my sister and her fiance, they really like hockey now. My sister's been going to Wild games. I know.
Oh man.
She says it's way better in person than it is on TV. I'll just have to take her word for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean you're obligated to like it more. You spent money on the tickets.
That's so true. Yeah,
Yeah.
you made an investment
Yeah,
at that point.
exactly.
Also, more and more, I follow these sports accounts on Instagram, and so they post highlights or backstory things, and they post like when people go into football games and they have their hype man, the Ray Lewises of your team and stuff like that. When I watch those videos now now that I'm 32, it doesn't hype me up.
Yeah.
When I was 19, I'm yeah, let's go murder.
yeah, exactly.
But when I
Yeah.
watch the hype men do their thing before games, now I'm oh my God, that guy is 30 years
Yeah.
old and still has no control. His testosterone runs his operating system.
Yeah.
I'm dude, when is that guy ever gonna grow up? And so when people do that, I'm just oh, I'm so glad I'm 3 degrees removed from that
Yeah.
now. So I don't know. I just can't. I don't get hyped up about it.
No.
You mean the Fox Sports robots don't hype you up when
Yeah.
you see that?
How long is that thing gonna survive for?
That's been out since the 90s, hasn't it?
I think so.
It's still a thing then?
That's still a thing, I
Is
think.
it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
That's not exciting. There's
No.
Tesla. There's
Yeah, who
cars that
cares?
drive
Yeah,
themselves.
who
now.
cares?
I don't
Yeah.
want to see some dumbass
Yeah.
robot throwing a football. That happened in the early 2000s. I got a
Yeah.
Furby once. Yeah, so I don't know if I'll ever go back to football. I'm glad that my passion in basketball is reignited. It's cool to still exercise and socialize.
Yeah.
And basketball for me, that was the first sport that I got into. So it's cool to know all the inner workings. Like even when I watch football, I think people act like they know what's happening in football, but I feel like there are maybe 3 more wrinkles in football than in basketball. Like basketball is like diet strategy because it's only 5 dudes. Yeah, maybe it's a little more fluid, but that also means you're not planning ahead. Every play in football is a set piece.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so basketball is a little bit more fluid, but like I talk to people and they feel like they know everything that's going on. I'm like, you don't know. You don't know. That's why I kind of like Tony Romo. I've seen a couple of his broadcasts and like he'll say something and it'll happen like 5 seconds later. I'm like, this guy knows what he's looking at.
Yeah, that's always impressive when they do that. Yeah.
I couldn't play quarterback in like even like in a pickup football game. Let's say we found 22 people to play football. Yeah. I wouldn't be able to like go behind the center and be like, I know what's happening there. I know what's happening there. I'm going to tell my teammates. In basketball, I kind of know. Like I haven't played it at like at a high like college level, but I kind of know. So like basketball is easier. It's safer.
Yes.
The idea is there's also the sentiment that the league is more supportive. Like when you're a best basketball player, LeBron James is sort of like also socially active.
Yeah.
That helps too. But yeah, I don't know if I'll ever get back into football.
I think I'll watch the XFL once it comes back.
Jeez.
I think I'll try that out.
That's going to be better.
Yeah, just to see. Give it a shot. Yeah.
Are we going to watch the Super Bowl?
We've done it the past few years together.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about that recently.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
But like I almost feel like that would be the ultimate cheat because that is the most commercial.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, see, I don't have a problem skipping the Super Bowl because usually it kind of sucks anyway. Like when I used to really love the NFL, I always thought the playoffs were the best games. Even, the championship games, the wild card round, that was the creme de la creme of the NFL. And the Super Bowl was kind of this over-bloated mess. Like it was like the main course, but you had all this good stuff already that you didn't really want that.
Yeah.
That's a great point. That made me think of another reason too, where going back to that novelty piece, I'm sort of like I distill things and like I'm a purist that way. And so like even like when I watch basketball, like it's cool to know the people and like what they stand for, but still it's just about basketball and like are you playing it the right way? And like the NBA is entering this new era, but like I still really like San Antonio Spurs basketball where it's like, are you cutting? Are you passing? Are you there on the defensive rotation? All those little things. And so it's weird that all this fluff has come in. I think that's why the Super Bowl annoys me. Because like people are like, oh, I'm there to watch the commercials.
Yeah.
Like, shut the fuck up and leave. So it's just like this. It's just not appealing, dude.
Yeah.
No. I mean, it'll feel weird not doing something with you guys for the game, but we don't have to watch the game, I guess.
We could do
Should we cook?
Different other things. Yeah.
You're good at cooking.
I'm okay. My
Andy's
wife
really
does most
good.
of it, but I can do some stuff. I've gotten into baking a little bit.
Where did that come from?
Cooking?
Yeah.
I wanted to eat good food, and I needed someone to make it for me, so I did it.
I did it myself.
What would you say is your signature dish? Like if you went on like Food Network or something?
Barbecue ribs is probably my signature.
Okay.
But I don't make that as much as I used to anymore. I really want to try and get into baking. Like, you guys know a Portuguese egg tart?
I know egg tart.
Is it different from like a Asian egg tart?
Yeah, it's similar. Very similar.
Okay.
Yeah, you get it at the dim sum place. A lot of times they have both the Macau version and like the Portuguese version there. I tried making that for the first time, and that was a lot of fun. So yeah, if you guys want to come to our house and we can cook something together,
that'd be fun.
That sounds fun.
We just have the game on in the background, and just like cook.
Yeah.
Remember that time we tried to cook something at John's house when we were like 19 or something?
Where we made sandwiches.
So we made sandwiches. Yeah. I just thought about that. I think I was like a vegetarian at the time.
Yes.
So I was like, I think I'm the only one who actually tried to cook eggplant, and I didn't know how to cook it, so I just like poured oil on it and tried to roast it in a pan.
How do you cook eggplant?
Yeah, you
that would work.
Fried it in a pan.
Yeah, that would work.
But I put like way too much oil on it, and it was just nasty.
Yeah.
I was like, when you were like explaining, like I got this eggplant, I cut it, I put oil in a pan, and I fried it. I'm like, that's how I would do it.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, I do remember that. I think I made a video out of that.
Yeah. I think so too. And yeah, we didn't really cook anything. We just put sandwiches together.
Yeah, dude. We thought we were pretty pro though, because it's like, wait, what goes in a sandwich? Lettuce, tomatoes,
All the accoutrements.
onions. Like we're cooking. But yeah, cooking is hard, dude. So it's really cool. Do you mess up a lot when you cook?
Oh yeah, all the time.
Okay.
Yeah, you just gotta learn from your mistakes.
Yeah.
You're gonna get better as you go.
But
Hopefully.
we usually encounter the final product like when we come over and you like cook for us. So it's just like, damn, this guy knows how to cook. But we don't see the mistake. So it's cool to also hear like, Are there things that you're like, I want to try cooking this, and then it comes out where you can't even eat it?
Oh boy, I'm trying to think.
Or is it like, oh, this is not what I thought it was going to be. It's nasty, but I'm going to eat it because I cooked it for dinner. I got to eat dinner.
I don't think I've ever cooked anything inedible, and my wife never has either.
Is your wife the better cook?
Yeah, she practices a lot more.
Okay.
She doesn't. I'm better at like cleaning than she is. So like, that's
front
how
end?
we divvy it up. Then is she cooks and makes the mess, and then I'll clean it up.
Yeah. So she's the front end worker, you're the back end worker.
Yeah. Speaking of great games, though, so remember we went over to Dawson's house. We played that Overcooked game.
Yep.
I want to clarify my statement there. I remember not liking the game, but I remember appreciating the game. It's a well thought out game, and I just wanted to clarify my statement.
I'm glad because you looked really defeated after you played that game. You were just like, you looked tired.
I was tired that day. I remember,
yeah.
but that game's like really well thought out.
Yes.
And like you liked it a lot for its like similarities to basketball. I think is what you equated to coming up with like little schemes and having to be able to be flexible and trade off roles and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So I can really appreciate that. Just for me, it was like so stressful and like mentally draining. I did not want to do it.
Because you think of all the dynamics, the way, like, when I see that, I'm thinking of all the dynamics and like the communication, the planning that has to go in, but also sort of the emotional intelligence. Did you get drained because of all those factors?
That, and I think like I was literally tired that day. Like I didn't get enough sleep.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I love games like that. As simple as Overcooked is, it's not very complicated. It is complex in its own way, but that's like how I view the world. Even when we play like Super Smash Brothers, when you play characters that have like projectiles, like I look at the screen as like this grid, and I'm thinking like if I throw this item in this region of the map, that person can't occupy that space. So if there's 3 sectors that they can be in, I can eliminate one. That gives me a 50% chance of guessing where they're going to be. That's where I'm going to attack. So when I play like Overcooked, it's like, okay, like one person needs to cook, but they can't deliver something because they have to cover this distance. So the second player, while they also have this responsibility, they have this second of gap, this extra space where they can be that runner. And that's how I view the world. Even like, it's just like, how does my responsibilities collide with your responsibilities? And when I have extra resources, how can I give that to you so it benefits everything? So like when I was introduced to that game, that's how I approached it. So I'm like, let's plan ahead of time and like dominate this other team. And so I get where it could exhaust somebody, but I thought it was fascinating. Yeah, we should play that too.
Yeah, I guess we should.
All right. We were talking before the show about talking about a couple of random topics too. So Dawson and I think you might have added some stuff there too, Dean, but we have like this document of like topics we want to bring up. But all of our other guests have like even our previous guest, he's a drummer for a band, so like we have plenty of things to like probe him about. But like we grew up together. I'm not gonna ask you about your past and stuff like that. But there are a couple of things I did want to talk about. There's research being done about if people should add 1 or 2 spaces after a period at the end of like a sentence, like in an email. So it's like, you finish a sentence, period. Do you add 2 spaces after that or 1? Because some people claim that it helps people read better.
I did not know this. I've only ever done 1.
I do 1.
I do 2.
You do 2.
How did you know?
Because in your text, you do 2 spaces.
Yeah, because that's how you're supposed to do it.
No.
Yeah, and in your Messenger apps, if you do 2 spaces automatically, it'll put a period there because it knows, because that's the global standard.
It's the global standard?
It has to be.
No, I learned in 7th grade, like English, that it's 1 space after.
Period, 1 space. Right?
Comma, 1 space, exclamation point, 1 space, period, 1 space.
No, it's 2 spaces.
No, it's not.
Yes, it
dude.
is.
Look that up. But like, this is like research being done because they think like now that people are interfacing like all digital stuff, like what is the best way for like people's eyes to like realize that this is like a sentence and things like that.
Okay,
but, like,
I'm wrong.
yeah, see? But like Dean does that in his texts, and like then I came across like this research that's being done. I'm like, oh, like maybe Dean's onto something too. The criticism about that study that came out is they only did it with one type of font, and so they found that when you add the 2 spaces after a period, people like interpreted, okay, end thought. Now I'm going into this next sentence, and it helped people understand what was being said better. But the caveat was that they only tested, the sample size was good, but they only tested with 1 font. And so that font was better for 2 spaces. And so it made me think about all that stuff, but.
Yeah, so it used to be 2 spaces back when everything was on a typewriter.
But that's, I think maybe that's why they're looking into it again, because now everyone's interfacing digital stuff.
Yeah.
So it is. So there's no real answer, but that research might be useful in knowing, like, does it actually help people read sentences better?
Yeah, it's an interesting idea. It sounds like they need to do a lot more testing with it to find out verify if it's actually true or not.
Yeah.
It probably doesn't make a difference.
But there's more, I think there's deeper research on the type of fonts, and then when you're like looking at things like digitally, like sans and non-sans, how like people can like, is it easier on the eyes? There's actually more research than this two space after a period on the type of fonts. Like there's actually more research about that stuff. So I don't know. I mean, it's worth looking into. I was like, the more and after graduate school, like the more and more I thought about like, should I get a PhD?
Yeah.
I'm like, all the low hanging fruit has been picked. I gotta like come up with something radical if I like want to actually get a PhD. Which I texted Dean about, because Dawson a few episodes ago had this idea, because he read or he listened to the audiobook of Michael Pollan's How to Change Your Mind, about the psychedelic renaissance.
Oh yeah.
And Dawson threw out this idea of, what if, I almost don't even want to say the idea because then it's like someone's gonna do their PhD on it, beat me to the punch. But he's like, what if you give this mind-opening medicine to like racists and bigots? Because then I like Google Scholar searched it, and all the research was giving like psychedelics to victims of racism, because then they have to work through like trauma and things like that.
Yeah.
And so they were finding that it worked really well for them to sort of have their ego lifted from their body and realize, oh, I'm not just that identity. And so it really helped like victims of trauma that way. But there was nothing in Google Scholar search about giving psychedelics to a bigot to help them realize like that person is not only identified by being black or by being gay or something like that. So Dawson's onto something.
I think so. I think there's a lot there, but then my mind kind of jumped to, how do you conduct this research? How do you get people on board to want to participate in this?
That's always like a big issue. Even like when I did like studies in grad school, I ran like a qualitative one, and recruitment is always like a big piece. So it's like, what do you do? Do you like go to like some trailer park in like Mississippi and be like, are you a racist?
Yeah.
Check this box.
Are there, what are the ethics behind just like, contaminating the water source in like a certain...
You can't.
Yeah, of course not.
You just can't. I mean, there are very... I mean, that's a very extreme example, but like even like less extreme examples, you have to, one, get it cleared. There's a board that you would pass it through. But especially like if you put participants, it's one thing to get... Like privacy is, you have to like look into that too, but it's one thing to just like interview someone and get poll information from them. But if you want to do a field test where you like actually like give them something, or like if you were like to induce like electrical shock to them or something like that. Like there are definitely cases coming up to what we do now that put all these like measurements into place, and there's backlash because then people are like, I can't do the research that I want because of all these new rules. It's probably for the better, but I don't know. Have you guys like have seen any of those documentaries? Like now that I have Netflix again, and like I like scroll through the documentaries, there's like always a bunch of them where like they talk about like old school research that are like horrible.
I watched one recently on the plane back from my vacation.
Yeah.
It's called 3 Identical Strangers. Have you heard of that one?
Yes.
Oh, yep.
I watched it.
You watched it. So yeah, that's crazy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can we spoil it here? Or?
How old is that documentary?
No, it's only like a year old.
Yeah.
Just put just put a spoiler notes right now and say jump to this time code. Just
Okay,
do that.
and we'll talk about it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, should we do that?
Spoiler notice. I'll limit this conversation to 10 minutes. So after this, then you can fast forward 10 minutes if you want to watch that movie and you don't like it.
Sorry, Andy, did you say you were familiar with it?
Yeah, I saw it too.
Oh, you saw it too. Yeah. So
Bananas.
absolutely crazy, right? You think it just starts out like, oh, these people just found themselves by chance.
Yeah.
But they were so close together, and then you realize this adoption agency just intentionally put them in separate families that had previously adopted girls.
Yeah.
And they wanted to follow, nature versus nurture.
Did I don't remember. I saw it a few months ago. Did one of the brothers commit suicide?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, and he was the one out of the 3 triplets that didn't have the best relationship with his father.
Oh,
it was like a very distant relationship. He was very disciplinary.
Yes.
And so that kind of like led them to thinking that a lot of, how you turn out as an adult is nurture versus nature.
Yeah. Which like your research can't lead to someone killing themselves.
Exactly.
But also they can't say anything. They didn't confirm anything.
No.
Yeah, I found that documentary a little problematic in that, they brought up that there was like this testing going on, but they didn't really press it and find any answers with the people conducting tests.
But I don't think that people that conducting tests wanted to talk.
Yeah, but they didn't really try very hard. They kind of just came up to the first obstacle and they're like, okay, well, I guess we can't get any further.
That's what I would do. Yeah, dude, that's bananas. But yeah, I mean, that's a really good example of sort of research that's a private firm? I don't remember.
I thought it was tied to Yale somehow.
Yeah,
Am
it was
I
part
wrong?
of Yale.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember saying that they put some sort of lock on it. It was
Until
like,
2066 or something. But they, like at the end of the documentary, they had some text and they were able to release their findings to the 2 brothers.
Yeah.
But a lot of it was redacted.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
And even if you're the 2 surviving brothers, like learning things as it like trickles in, your life can never be normal after that.
No, of course not. Yeah.
And I wonder if that's a situation where like ignorance is bliss would have just been better. Like if they had never come across each other. And
yeah, that was kind of brought up too. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a tough one.
Yeah.
That's a tough one. But yeah, I'm glad that you brought that up. That's like a prime example. Because when I took a qualitative research course. So it's like, how do we learn about things that you can't really capture empirically? But like the first 3 weeks of it was dedicated to ethics.
Yeah. Yeah. And research like that, do we really need to know?
That's what I've been thinking a lot more about too. There's like this research, and there's an author that I like. I mean, you guys know him too, Sam Harris, who I really like looked into during my like spiritual transformation. But like he brings that up a lot too. Like, why are people like doing research on certain things? Like, do we need to know that? So he like brought up like one, I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was just like to know if Black people like have this different gene that allows them to do this or that.
Yeah.
And he's like, what is the point of that? Like, that's only going to like feed into like more racism to like know that these people are actually different. But I also see the other side because like if it's like something that it's like a genetic thing that affects them differently and they have to like take different medicine or whatever. Like what if, I don't know what you would discover from that. Is that worth knowing?
I mean, that would be worth knowing if there's like genetic differences to like how they react to certain drugs, or like if they're, more likely to catch a certain disease or something.
Yeah.
But not just like athletic ability.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's weird.
Yeah.
I think a lot of that stuff is weird.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if anyone's found that based on race necessarily. I think a lot of the things like they've found, like diabetes is more prevalent in African American community, isn't necessarily race, but more like economic, lifestyle, poverty, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing an interesting thing about diabetes and how it affects people based on whether they came from like a city or from a rural area.
Mm-hmm.
And it said, like, the example was 2 cab drivers in New York who were both from India. One was from a big city, one was from the country. And they both had kind of less than ideal diets. They ate like lots of donuts and whatnot.
Yeah.
And the one that was from a city, though, did not develop diabetes. The one who was from the rural area did. And it was just because people had become accustomed to eating kind of high sugar foods that they had like they were less likely to develop diabetes than those who came from ancestry that did not have these high sugary foods.
Oh, that's interesting.
But that's not necessarily race, just kind of where your ancestors were from.
Yeah.
Even if it's only like, maybe a few, like 10, 20 generations or so.
Yeah. But still, yeah, there's got to be an evolutionary element to it too. Like I'm sure like the foods that Dean and our body is intrinsically like attracted to or like comfortable with, probably different than what like you could eat.
Possibly. I know a big one. Well, they say like Europeans, people of Caucasian descent are more likely or less likely to develop what's it called? Where you can't digest lactose intolerance.
Yes. Just have to say it out loud.
Yeah. What's that called? You can't digest. Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's the big one though with like Asian diets. There's really no cheese in it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
you guys can drink milk, right?
I can. Yeah.
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 I like milk.
Mm-hmm.
Also, there's the enzyme to break down alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
Like Asian people have less of that enzyme, right?
Yeah, Asian flush, right?
Yeah, when you get the redness and all of that, which
Yeah.
I don't get, luckily, but so many of my Asian friends do, and so it's just like science has found out it's just that lack of that enzyme to break down the alcohol. So,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, I mean there are differences.
That's true. Okay.
Is it worth knowing?
That's true. There's some little stuff there.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's anything major though, but we'll see.
yeah. All the low hanging fruit has been
So
picked.
I guess. So what was the question? The original question?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm cool. I'm glad that we're like going through these like weird topics that like we wrote down and never actually got to. The other one that I have is people have been talking more and more about exclamation points in work emails. Do you guys use exclamation points in work emails?
I don't send any work emails anymore, so this is irrelevant to me.
Oh, nice.
Oh.
But go ahead, Dean.
The only time I've ever used them is if I say like Happy Holidays or Happy New Year.
Mm-hmm.
Other than because I feel like without the exclamation point, it almost seems like backhanded.
That's
in
the
a way.
point that they were
Yeah,
making.
yeah.
Like, if you don't, there's a sect that says if you don't use exclamation points in just like text,
Mm-hmm.
people could interpret it the wrong way.
Yeah.
Like, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mhm.
And so like there's a group that says like you have to use exclamation points to convey more emotion.
Yeah.
But a lot of people say like, well, this is a professional email. I'm not texting my friend about like coming to party or something like that. Like just they'll get it.
You're right.
And so I don't know.
I mean, I guess I personally wouldn't care if someone sent me an email that started with like Happy New Year, it's just a period or something.
Yeah.
I just feel like I should not try to send the wrong message by not.
Like
However stupid that sounds.
Happy
yeah.
Monday, 3
Yeah.
exclamation
Yeah,
points.
yeah, exactly.
It's not something you think about.
No.
It's something I thought about even before I saw that article.
Mm.
And so I'm like, I usually use a lot of exclamation points in texts or emails just because I don't want to sound like a downer in any of that. And so like I use emojis. I think it helps to like make it more colorful and like people get your intent a little bit better. And so I use emojis and exclamation points so that when that came out, like I was really interested in the side that said like this is a professional email. Stop using exclamation points.
Did I use an exclamation point when I wished you a happy birthday? via text?
I don't know. Are you pulling it up right now?
Yeah, I'm trying to find it.
Just the Dwight Schrute, it is your birthday.
Yeah, so it's really weird. I mean, I think emojis are really good too, as like childish as it is. Like to
You
me,
would put an emoji in a professional email?
I have not like when I'm applying for jobs and like people that I don't know, but like just work emails. Or there's people like, since I work in the radio industry, like outside people that are like, hey, can you help us organize this thing for like a concert or whatever? I'm like, yeah, I'd be glad to. Smiley face emoji.
Yeah, if you know the person well enough, it's totally fine.
Yeah.
Like my boss, sometimes I need to like book my own flight to like a conference that we go to.
Yeah.
And he would just send the details of the flight details or whatever. And sometimes I just respond back with an airplane emoji. and one time he was like, "Oh, what does that mean?" I was like, "Oh, I booked it." And he's like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, that's the worst part of it. Your response is doesn't clarify anything. But I also think like, you know, like when like especially in this sort of this snowflake era that people always talk about, to me, intent is like 80% of it. It's just like, you know, like that person can't use that word because they don't identify with this group or whatever. Like, what is that person's intent when they use that word?
Right.
Because, like, to me, too many times you push away allies. I've seen it happen too many times where, like, this person is actually on your team and you're mad at them for using, like, a word that they may have been ignorant about or whatever. Like, not that ignorance excuses everything, but, like, I don't know everything about everything. So it's like if I mess up, like I expect people to teach me about it. But what was my intent behind that?
Right.
So I don't know. Intent is a big thing for me.
It is. But yeah, it's just like you don't know sometimes. So it's hard. One other, like within our work group too, sometimes my boss, he would send emails with just a question mark in it if he's like forwarding something.
Yeah.
And he's just like, well, can you explain this? Because I don't know. And it would just be a question mark. And some people in our group would get highly offended by that because it's like, what the hell do you mean? What's this question mark? Like,
yeah, because you could take it as like, is this guy like questioning me?
Yeah,
but he just wanted some more information.
Yeah, exactly.
Any last words, A Christ?
No, not really.
Yeah.
I'm glad to be here. Happy birthday.
Thank you, sir.
I feel like we should have sang you happy birthday.
No, let's not. Let's not. I'm bummed that Dawson wasn't here when you came in because one, for that football thing, he would have had a little more pushback. But also, he's sort of like the jokester too,
Yeah.
and so he would. I feel like he would have probed you a little bit better too, or like try to have gotten under your skin a little bit. Dawson sent me a great picture. He messaged Peter when Super Smash Brothers came up.
Oh.
He was talking about the Melee jacket.
Uh-huh.
And so you had a Melee jacket too, didn't you?
I did?
I don't
recall this.
I don't know. I don't know if it was like a shiny one or not, but so no last words?
I'm not familiar with this part of the podcast. Am I supposed to say it?
If you just have any final thoughts or whatever.
Final thoughts. Is the NFL worth it? In its current state, I would say no.
There you go.
Just do other things with your time, people. Go watch movies or play video games or hang out with your friends. Do anything.
That's the take-home
Start
message.
a podcast.
Start a podcast.
There. Hey, yeah.
All right, I'm going to close this out. This is usually Dawson's part here, too. But you can connect with the Quality Under Pressure podcast on Facebook and Instagram at Quality Under Pressure. We're on Twitter at QUP Podcast. You can listen to us on any of your preferred podcast platforms. Also, email us at qualityunderpressure@gmail.com. Bye.